Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Stephen LeDrew. We are in the midst of a national election campaign, and many people don't know it. Why? Well, I hear from people in the street, they say, well, nothing's very exciting about it. And so we have two partisans here right now, a liberal and a conservative, to talk about this campaign, where it might be going, how it's going to change, because they are both wired into it. Forgive me, there's no NDP here because that was my decision, because the NDP may have a seat or two. I know the leader, I like them. They have made so many mistakes. They are not in contention. But the Liberals and the Conservatives are in contention. So, John Capobianco, as I always say, a big shot Conservative. He's run before, he knows the party inside out. You're here to defend, I suppose, what's going on so far. Anthony Fiore, you are a professional opinionator, so I'm told. And I've just been hearing about you, and you've been telling John, you are a lifelong Liberal, a generational Liberal. Is it true that if they ran a turnip as a Liberal candidate, you would vote for that turnip?
My family probably. I might have second thoughts.
Yeah, second thoughts. But right now they aren't running turnips.
Yeah,
they're trying to get rid of all the turnips.
It was a tomato.
Yes, tomato different. Roma tomato.
So they're trying to get rid of all those candidates, and they're getting rid of something going on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the fact that it's a Liberal campaign. So I'll start with you. Many people are saying, is there not something more than just simply saying we're going to cut taxes here, we're going to give a little bit of money this, some of your money back? This is not the most boring Liberal campaign you've ever seen.
I just said this the other week. This just doesn't feel like a real federal election. It feels like...
we need somebody new here, someone to defend the campaign.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Well, I'm so partisan, I wore a blue jacket today. So it doesn't feel like a real election campaign, but I think it's just because it's the beginning. And I think we have a long way to go before the end. Mr. Capobianco said the same thing to me off camera. We have a long way to go before April 28th. Anything is going to happen.
So it's when people say, well, Canadians aren't focusing on this, and they aren't paying attention to it, you're saying that's quite normal. And most people will focus a day or two before the actual election and say, oh, let's see what's going on. Is that true?
Yeah, I think the day after the debate, the election will finally kick into third gear, and we will start to see more traction and more vocal opinions coming from not just people like us, but regular people in the country.
Okay, let's go to a super regular person. Now, your campaign, I know you and I speak every few weeks or months, and a few months ago, you were a shoo-in for a majority government. Trudeau, he outsmarted you guys. He said, I know I'm the most unliked person in the world. I'm resigning. Your 25-point lead in the polls disappeared. So, John, what can we expect to have your party, your leader, resuscitate himself?
Well, I think that the Liberals are actually doing what we want them to do, which is peaking at the right time, early on in the campaign. I think that obviously campaigns matter, and this campaign does matter. And I do think that at some point you're going to see a shift for a number of reasons. One is I think that Mark Carney is not an experienced campaigner. He's not an experienced person who can actually deal with the debate and the cut and thrust and the thrust and parry of politics. And we're starting to see some of that. He's made some early mistakes early on, and I think he's someone who I think is yet to be tested. Obviously, a lot of Canadians sort of are happy or are pleased with his resume, the fact that he's a former Bank of Canada governor, former Bank of England governor, and all that credentials. But that doesn't necessarily translate to being a prime minister. At the end of the day, we've seen somebody else named Michael Ignatieff in the same boat do the same thing and not to the very much success.
But let me just deal with what you just said, that, some people are saying, well, and I've heard this, many people, oh, he's such an impressive person. No, he hasn't run for office. He doesn't know anything about politics, but he's an impressive technocrat. And they say about your leader, well, what's he ever done? He's only been a member of parliament. He's only been sitting there with the public tax money at his disposal. What does he know about running a government?
Well, Anthony will know this about Justin Trudeau in the same category, and he's spent the last 9 years being prime minister.
That's a shot.
But all I'm saying though, I think is that I think what Canadians are wanting, and I actually think Canadians are more engaged in this campaign than they ever have been before. I think that there's still a lot of Canadians yet to be engaged, but I think that the issues and what Trump has been doing and what Trump has done over the course of the last number of months since he's been the president and leading up to him being president has caused Canadians to be concerned. So the talk of the election and who is going to be the best position. I'm not convinced what the ballot question is yet to be determined. I think it's yet to be determined. But I do think Canadians are much more tuned in at this early stage in the election than they ever have before.
And does that mean then that a lot of people are decided?
No, I think a lot of folks are still kicking the tires. I think there's a lot of folks still kind of seeing what's out there, and a lot of policies are starting to trip out now over the course of the last 2 weeks of the campaign. But I think the debate, as Anthony said, I think the debate is going to be an important factor here, and a lot of Canadians are going to be looking at that.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. And since you were talking about kicking the tires, when we come back, you can see Anthony Fiore kick his own tires. Right back after this.